This is your February 2025 soul story. If you have a sun, rising or moon in the sign, this is your reading. It's Romy. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. Welcome. We're going to open up this month with the energy of the Two of Cups. It's important this month that you do stay both present and purposeful. But right at the beginning of February, on the 1st of the month, Venus, Neptune and the North Node converse in this conversation that is reminding you, I think, of how much the heart holds so much of what is unsaid. And it feels to me that between the 1st and then the new moon in Pisces on the 27th, there almost needs to be like a heart reset where you have an opportunity in some way, shape or form to express what has been left unsaid within you. So whether that means letters, whether that means conversations, whether that means just facing and acknowledging and leaning into something, it almost feels like without facing that, not that you can't move forward, but that you are holding on to something that is too heavy to hold, really. And the beautiful thing about the conversation that I feel happens astrologically on that 1st of the month is it's like a safe sanctuary, and it almost brings this sort of transcendent spiritual experience through, where the downloads or the insights that are gained by you at this time are so supportive to really helping you to know what it is that you need. There's nothing like somebody saying to you, whether they be a loved one or a friend or a stranger, you know, what do you need? Because it shows such a intention of willingness to try to help and support. And I think it's an opportunity really for you to say those words to yourself all the way through the month, Aries, right? What do I need? And then really listening into that. Now, your Two of Cups suggests to me that there is something coming online in February that is supportive to a vibrational match, a union, a coming together, a moment where synchronicity and signs all kind of coalesce in a way that really supports a better feeling, a more optimistic feeling. And there's almost like a maturing that comes, and maybe you find somebody grows up a bit, or maybe you yourself have sort of gone through another level of, you know, emotional or spiritual evolution. But as Venus shifts into your sign from the 3rd, I just feel that how you express, how you communicate, you know, just comes in on another level. And what I'm going to remind you of, and I want you to keep reminding yourself of this, is how far you have come. Okay, because it might be easy in the month of February to feel like there's still so much, and maybe in an overwhelming capacity that isn't clear yet, or, you know, still has you apart from where you wanted to be, where you think you should be. And I suppose, you know, you're finding or trying to find ways to be soft and compassionate and gentle in this unyielding sort of unknown, this liminal space of transition. And maybe you feel incredibly uprooted, or maybe, you know, some things have come online, but not everything. Regardless of where you are, there's certainly still a feeling in February for you of gearing up and getting clear, I think, in your mind about what needs to happen and perhaps what's preventing that from happening, so that you can understand what you have to work with. And, you know, part of that is going to be really looking at what is in and what is out of your control. Okay, now Jupiter stations direct in Gemini on the 4th of the month, and you will get some green lights coming through there. You know, you really took some time to process the way in which you're absorbing information, what you were making it mean. A lot of expansion and change has happened on the inside. You had that magnifying lens. And now, you know, your Queen of Cups is sort of in this beautiful, open, receptive energy where you're just kind of willing to be shown like the next step and how to progress. And remember, Jupiter direct in Gemini can actually move at lightning speed. So things can then start to pick up and progress much faster than you may have anticipated. That's why I think it is important to be purposeful and present, and also to know what it is that you want, okay? You're also going to want to ensure that you're creating conditions for the things that matter to you, for the things that are really symbolizing how you want to move forward. You know, and if you can create those conditions and then identify perhaps some of the things that are stopping you from accessing, you know, the type of energy that you need to allow this in, there's a sort of paradigm shift that I feel is taking place in February. It's almost like you're being shown things in a different way about yourself that it is going to be incredibly helpful. You're also being more of an observer or a witness perhaps to some of the behavior or the tendencies that you've brought to situations in the past. And I think as we approach that full moon in Leo, there's definitely a surrendering from you, but in a good way, you know, to just allow more light to be shone on the areas that need to, and then developing some courage and confidence perhaps to ask for what you need. Okay, so if you are finding that you are not attracting, or people are not showing up with the phrase, as we just spoke about, what do you need, then the 12th of the month sees you being in a position where you are able to sort of bring that agency for yourself. Now, Six of Swords comes in with a reminder that, you know, we're perpetually in this journey, you know, in this physical lifetime, you know, and beyond. And the eternalness of your soul knows exactly where you're going, even when you feel that you don't, even when you feel that your north compass might have been a little bit knocked off, and there's a disorientated energy. There is still a compass that exists, an innate knowing. And it's almost like you can just default into that and allow sometimes even an almost autopilot energy to carry you forward, okay? And I feel that there's a strange sense of that in February. It's almost like there's an autopilot feeling, okay? I do want to call out that this month we've got asteroid goddess energies showing up in really supportive ways, right? So on the 16th, we've got Pallas Athena moving into Aquarius, and here she can really strategize with incredibly unconventional, unique ways to deal with things and approach things, and she wants to bring about change for the better. So lean in and work with that energy. We also have Juno coming in on the 19th to fellow fire sign Sagittarius. You want to look for more freedom in the agreements, the unions, the relationships, the connections that you're forging and renewing and rebuilding. And I think Sagittarius can really give you that broader outlook and that bigger picture understanding to do what's right for you, and to ensure as well, again, that you realize like how far you've come, or maybe what you're still attached to, and what you really are clearly understanding that it needs to be replaced by. We've also got Ceres shifting into Pisces on the 23rd, which is going to be the same day that Mars stations direct in Cancer. So both Jupiter and Mars direct this month definitely feels like it supports motivation levels, and just that stirring in your soul that says, okay, like I feel a little bit more ready than I have done to be able to tackle this, or to know that, you know, this is now the time I feel like I can start to make inroads into something. So you've got another queen coming through, this time the Queen of Wands. Love her energy for you. She brings a sort of dynamic resourcefulness to the table that I think, you know, there are going to be moments where you're in and out of this sort of liminal space, or just feeling like there's so much out of your control, that this is a really supportive energy for you to work with, right? And to probably feel a little bit like more like yourself. So I think there are definitely going to be times through the month of February, Aries, where you'll be in your comfort zone, you'll be in your sweet spot, you know, you'll be able to find something within you that says, this is where I operate best, this is where I function, this is my zone of genius, if you like. And that matters. That's going to be so restorative, I think, to your confidence levels at times, giving you courage, and also the realization that, you know, there's a necessary sort of support and teamwork aspect that needs to emerge through the month of February if you are going to get where you need to be and to achieve what it is that you want. And, you know, there are going to be a lot of distractions, right? That if you're not careful could absolutely dilute your power to manifest. Again, I think that's where your combination really of your Queen of Wands, Queen of Cups, because your Queen of Cups is listening and holding space and really knowing what that heart needs to kind of unpack and resolve. But the Queen of Wands puts you back into your essence. You know, she brings you that cardinal initiatory experience that says, right, you know, this is me and I can do this and I can believe in myself. And I think, you know, you are at times going to have to sort of maybe dig a little bit deeper, you know, to find the confidence and the courage to do that next step, or understand, you know, even when you know it's the right thing to do, it doesn't necessarily make it easy, right? So there's maybe having a little bit of the understanding that February says we can do the hard things, you know, in the face of something that feels impossible or feels like super uncomfortable, we can still show up. And as I said, this kind of transcendent energy that arrives at the beginning of the month seems to give you something that enables you to just know or trust in the path or the process or the pulling or the fact that you are in fact being guided, even where it feels like you're maybe struggling with that truth. Your Three of Cups, there's your support. There's your support network. There's the sisterhood. There's the circle. There's the group. There's the people that step up at the time that you need them to just hold you, you know, and even if it's just fleeting, you know, even if it's not something that's necessarily in place in a way that really feels good to you and you know you need to address, right? At the time that you need it most, through the month of February, Aries, I feel like people will step up and step in for you. And that changes things. It makes you realize that you're not alone. It makes you realize that perhaps you haven't been asking or conveying or communicating perhaps exactly where you're at or what you need, maybe trying to do it alone or trying to hold it all together. So there's a vulnerability that comes along with receiving that support. But again, I think that in a way that's the very key that again unlocks something about you feeling more confident in yourself or believing in yourself again, okay? It's almost like the realization of things are not against me, things are actually working for me in this moment. And, you know, again, like I said, a big paradigm shift, right? How you're choosing love over fear, how you're choosing oneness over separation, how you're choosing connection. You know, these are the bigger things from a collective perspective, but also right down to your own individual pathway and experience that really matter at this moment in time. Your Six of Wands comes through because I think that there's a realization of it's possible and I can do this. So for me, it almost feels like the mindset as much as anything else. And we know, right, we understand that so much about success comes from that winning attitude, that belief, that visualization. And I think there's almost like a rewiring that's happening naturally, almost just because of where you're at in your soul journey, but also intentionally by you. And again, I go back to the point that I made about the fact that, you know, when you realize what the heart needs to say that has been left unsaid and that is expressed, it almost gives you permission, clears up, frees up space for this gearing up energy and this mentality that says, you know, I don't know how perhaps, and I don't know when, but I know that I will. And I think that that courage and, you know, that tenacity and that resourcefulness, it sort of powers you up, and it gives you, especially when, you know, your ruling planet Mars moves direct on the 23rd, right? It gives you just this like, okay, like, you know, we're not there yet, but I can see, or I can actually more like I can feel. I think seeing still is maybe hard, you know, it's maybe hard to see it, but feeling it you can. And there's that sensory awareness, okay? And you are moving on, you're moving forward. That Six of Swords is really powerful. It's your rite of passage, it's your pilgrimage, it's an indicator that says, you know, coming up and away from something that has felt so heavy that maybe even at times it was like drowning you. You know, you're now coming into this opportunity to sort of allow this heart reset to happen, right? So the new moon in Pisces arrives on the 27th. Something a little magical around that time, I feel. Please don't get caught up with an overly, oh gosh, what do I want to say? Like somebody just feels like they're really throwing a lot of emotional sort of tantrums is probably the best way to maybe explain it. Maybe not directly toward you, but certainly around you. Just be mindful of the distractions. It almost feels like people have a sixth sense to know that when you're just getting your shit together, or things are just coming online, or you're feeling like you're moving forward or freeing things up. And, you know, for whatever reason and whatever priorities are going on there, it just feels like there's a slight tendency to want to sort of sabotage or get in the way or redirect you towards things. So just be a little bit aware of that, I feel, coming through toward the end of the month. Now, the other thing to bear in mind, of course, is that we are going to be in the shadow of Venus going retrograde next month. So, you know, when she shifts into your sign from the 3rd, this is what I'm talking about, what the heart is holding, what is unsaid, because a lot of this is sort of preparatory for, you know, work that you're going to continue over these next few weeks, and that is going to help to reshape and, you know, help you to reimagine and rethink around relationships specifically, yeah, and how you show up, what that love language is for you. And I think there's some big changes that are on the horizon with regards to that. So pay attention to how some of those themes might be lighting up, okay? But you have some good news coming in February, okay? You've definitely, with this 3 of Cups, 6 of Staff, like there is something celebratory, something like, yes, this is happening. Or, you know, that you can at least know that you've got to the next level. You've ticked the next box, okay? It might not be the final destination, but you know, you're well on your way, and another goal has been achieved, or something else has been attained that's promoting and supporting and helping you, okay? That is coming through for you loud and clear. Now, if you're new to the channel, the last 3 cards we cover in the extended version of my reading. We talk for another 25 minutes or so. We'll also look at a personal and a relationship question for you. So I hope you'll join me if this is resonating for you, Aries. I'm going to go ahead and just clarify these cards, see where we're going to take that reading. Okay, so King of Pentacles coming through. We've got Page of Wands. All the decks are always listed below. We've got the Energy of Death coming through. 2 of Pentacles. Please, if you're new to the channel, do check out over on my website, romywiser.com, all my sacred titles, my oracle deck, my new journal, Life Soul Vision, and my book, Moon Musing. These are all there to support you, act as soul companions as you make your way through this year, okay? Interesting, we've got the Tower, the Ten of Swords coming through there. 5 of Cups, Hangman. What about the 6 of Wands here? We've got the Magician and the 6 of Pentacles. Yes. I think almost like the Ten of Swords and the Tower, it feels more of like a sort of mindset shift, you know? I really feel that. Okay, let's have a look at the Life Soul Vision Oracle. Where is this coming? Okay. A Spirit Wolf. We've got Waterfalls of White Light. We've got the Queen of Air, Light Language, Solar Plexus Energy, Stand in Your Light, Encoded Footprints, and Energy Conversations. Beautiful. Okay, let's look at one more Oracle card for Aries. This is for the month of February. Right, you've got a full moon in Libra. Find a balance. Okay, beautiful. Aries, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I wish you well this month. Take good care of yourself. I'm going to see you again next time.